you're at the point in the fork in which you have to move either forward, or otherwise if you stand still, you're going to fall off the cliff. And I think that increasingly the kick the can down the road is going to become unsustainable.
So far, the Europeans have been successful in averting a total sort of cataclysmic, everything breaking up disaster.
Yeah.
And they seem to be sort of successfully kicking the can down the road, maybe making the problems worse, but you haven't had this sort of climactic catastrophe. Is a climactic catastrophe inevitable, or is it going to be, as Elliot said, not with a bang but a whimper?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you're going to have a collapse or breakup of the Eurozone all at once, and not certainly in the next 12 months. In the next 12 months, you might have, Greece maybe exiting. But the way I describe it in a recent paper where I discussed 12 factors that describe a slow motion train wreck in the Eurozone, it's a slow motion train wreck. It started with one country, now we have 7 that have either lost market access or on the verge of losing market access, and they require one degree or another of a bailout, and therefore more of the same is going to occur. Now, if a small country gets in trouble, Greece, Ireland, Portugal, Slovenia, Cyprus, who cares? You can manage it, but now we're at the point at which the third and the fourth largest economy in the Eurozone, Italy and Spain, may lose market access, may require a bailout. That bailout may fail, may eventually lead to a debt restructuring a couple of years down the line, and may eventually even lead to an exit. Now, a small Greece exit, the Eurozone survives. If eventually, I'm not saying next year, it gets to the problems of an Italy and Spain, then you could have eventually a breakup of the Eurozone, something that over a 3 to 5 years horizon you cannot rule out. So muddle through and kicking the can down the road has been the strategy, but I think even the European recognize that that's not a stable equilibrium, it's an unstable disequilibrium. So either you're going to move forward in the direction of greater integration, fiscal union with debt mutualization, banking union with easy-wide deposit insurance, and economic union where you restore growth, competitiveness, you have economies converging, and eventually you need also a political union to give democratic legitimacy to the loss of national sovereignty, economic, banking, and fiscal affairs. So either you do the full Monty or the full enchilada of the union, even if it's going to take you several years, or otherwise it will be a progressive process of disintegration, disintermediation, and eventually even of a breakup. So you're at the point in the fork in which you have to move either forward, or otherwise if you stand still, you're going to fall off the cliff. And I think that increasingly the kick the can down the road is going to become unsustainable.
And how likely is the full Monty? How likely is a solution that sort of makes everything work?
So far, I think it's unlikely. The EU summit, they said they made progress on the banking union, but there were only 2 elements of the banking union: the direct recap and the ECB supervision, the resolution regime, the bail-in of unsecured creditors, and the easy-wide deposit insurance is not going to happen. So it's a half-baked banking union. On that mutualization, I would say my reading of Germany, I spent a long time there, is that at least until their elections, there is no way that they're going to accept any one of the 4 different variants of e-bonds that are being discussed on the table. If they don't do a fiscal union with that mutualization, the ECB says we're not going to give a bridge to this debt mutualization that we would if there is a light at the end of the tunnel by doing partial debt monetization. So debt mutualization is not going to occur. Therefore, the ECB is not going to do a bridge to nowhere through temporary debt monetization. The only third option to keep the spreads in Italy and Spain from blowing up is some leveraging of the ESM. A couple of proposals on the table: the first loss insurance by Italy, and the idea of turning the ESM into a bank and likely to leverage and borrow and repo ECB are both legally objected by the ECB and the German. So if you don't have that monetization, if you don't have that mutualization, if you cannot leverage ESM, I think there's a meaningful chance that by default, Italy and Spain lose market access, and then things get ugly. Next year is the time where the can becomes too big to kick it down, and it hits a big, thick brick wall, and then we have a global perfect storm. That could happen.